I'm mostly using the recipe in Dave Hughes' American Fly Tying Manual for this Ausable Wulff. He does say to tie it with fluorescent thread. I am using a number 10 hook. Put a base of thread down, take my thread back up to where I'm going to tie in the wing. The wing is calf tail. So I'm just grabbing a pinch of tail. So the wing is about the size of the shank of the hook. So I'll tie that in where I want that wing to be. I need plenty of room in front of the wing for hackle. So I'll get that cinched down tight onto the shank of the hook. And then I will clip out all the butt ends and do that at kind of an angle back there. Bring my thread back up, lift up on the wing and wrap underneath of it as I want it to stand up. The hackle will help stand it up also, but so kind of wrap a dam in front of the wing to kind of get it to stand up. And then I'm going to divide it. So grab about half, pull to each side. And then I'm going to X-wrap. And then I'll pick up on that wing again, pull it all back, and wrap underneath of it again. And then bring my thread back and wrap in over those butt ends. We'll get those to stand up a little bit more when we put the hackle in on top of them. I don't have woodchuck for the tail, so I am using some squirrel. And I do have a squirrel that's got this is gray squirrel, it's got the white tips on it, so it kind of does look like the woodchuck, although it's not the same. And again, about the length of the shank. And I'm not stacking it, I'm just cutting it off and trying to kind of hold everything in. And then let me wrap underneath of that just to kind of pull it up a little bit. And then I'm going to grab just the tail fibers and clip those out. And then wrap up over that, try to get a kind of smoothish body. It is a tapered body, so that's fine. I just want to kind of fill that gap there between the calf and the squirrel. As for the recipe calls for orange Aussie possum. I have just some awesome possum in orange. So just some dubbing. And I'll wet my fingers. Spin that onto my thread. Grabbing it between my finger and thumb and just moving it in one direction. And then get that tip, that pointy end, and then wrap that up. And then if I feel like it's not tight enough on the thread, I can continue to wrap. I'm just going to cover all of that now with this orange dubbing. See right there, I've kind of let loose there, so I want to get that tightened up. And it looks like I'm going to need a little bit more. It is easier to add more rather than to subtract, although you can just pull off extra too. A little bit more here. The hackle is brown and grizzly. So here's a brown hackle. Just strip off some of the end fibers and tie that in. I'll tie it in behind and then catch that tip in front. I'm going to go ahead and tie in the grizzly also. Tie that in behind and then bring in front and grab that stem in front. I'll just leave my thread in front and grab that with my hackle pliers. Wrap a few wraps behind. Lift up on that wing and wrap in front. Hackle will kind of help to keep that wing standing up. Go ahead and catch off that hackle. Pull back on everything so I can just wrap the end of that hackle. And then I think I can just grab that and snap it out. Yep. And then I'll do the same with the grizzly. Run a couple behind. And then it looks like I'm going to need to put my hackle plier on that. It's kind of a short feather. Pull up on that wing. And then wrap in front. And then catch that in. Again, I'll wet my fingers so I can. Wetting my fingers seems to help to just grab all those fibers and get them pulled back. Try to keep that eye clean. And then wrap up over that stem. It's going to have that fluorescent orange head. And then I can just grab that, snap it out. Put my whip finisher on it. And then I will pull back on all of that head while I whip finish up over the head and work to not catch in any of that hackle. trim out my thread. I just put my scissors against the thread and push. I do use a diluted goop. So I'll just stick a needle in my jar, grab a drop, put it on the head, let that soak in. I can run a feather through the eye of the hook just to make sure that it's clean. So mostly using the recipe from Dave Hughes' American Fly Tying Manual, the Ausable Wulff.